Hey, this is the Grumpy Old Gamer podcast. I'm Al. Hello. What are you all doing? Tonight we're going to be looking at games that we think should be made from franchises where games don't yet exist. And I'm joined by the usual motley crew in no particular order. Lucas, dude.
Hello, good night for everyone, or good day, depends where you're watching this. Like Al said, we're going to talk about some games today that doesn't exist.
Fucking amazing that it's a gaming podcast and we're going to talk about games. So thank you for pointing out the obvious, Captain Obvious. Ian's here as well.
I'm present.
And as usual, a man of many words. And last but not least, Mr. Tim.
Hello, sexy.
How are you doing?
I'm looking forward to this one, mate. I'm looking forward to this one. It's going to be. You can't see me in podcasts and on YouTube, but I'm doing quotations. It is going to be interesting.
Interesting is right. So the purpose behind this, and of course, before we decided what we were going to record tonight, so we're going back a month or so. We sat down together and we planned this entire third season. So this is episode 3 of season 3, and was like, let's have a look at, because I think we did in one of the previous seasons we did an episode on games that would make good movies. I think that's what we did. So we thought, well, let's spin that concept on its head, and we're going to do this one, which is about franchises that would make good games. But there was a couple of caveats, and that, well, there was one really, which is that it can't exist, because I think that somebody mentioned Peaky Blinders, like, well, there's a Peaky Blinders game. Someone mentioned John Wick, there's a John Wick game. So you can't choose something which the game already exists. It's got to be completely fresh,
be it mobile or not.
Yeah. So sorry, Moffy, you can't choose Lord of the Rings. Because it already exists. But I think what we'll do is we'll maybe come to our coach Morphy. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not sorry. That's how we all know you, even though your name's Lucas. We'll come to Lucas first. What's your first game? What's your first franchise that should be a game?
I went for the classic action game in mind, so I chose the Raid Redemption franchise that has 2 movies. They're basically Asian movies about SWAT commands that break down into a building and start killing everyone. It's just fun to watch, and I can imagine a game like Sifu, maybe like Max Payne style, that you just slow time, kill everything, and had really good finishers, like kind of like a John Wick game could be. There is one in development right now. It could work.
And I completely agree with you. I think it'd be an amazing game, especially if they keep like the martial arts of that film, because it was brutal. It was absolutely brutal, but it was so physical. It was like, oh my god. And all I'm going to say is the door scene, essentially.
Yeah, I just have to go on the record and say, if you haven't seen these movies, do yourself a favor and see them, because they are fantastic. There's a lot of memorable action scenes, great hallway fight scenes.
Oh god, yeah.
Just chef's kiss.
I haven't seen them.
Oh, you should.
I was about
Maybe
to
we'll
say,
have a watch party.
Also, I'm just going to say, head against the wall. The nothing beats that. It's ridiculous. Like boom, 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 boom. Chef's kiss, punch. Mm-hmm. They're brutal.
So I take it this would be quite melee combat heavy rather than gunplay.
It goes there, but at the beginning of the movie, they start shooting each other, and then they lose the weapons because the situations basically gets more difficult and more hardcore for everyone. And basically, the main character is the last guy standing against a lot of enemies in the building, and they use knives, they use machetes, they use everything that has around them. So basically, survival at that point in the movie. So, and they changed to weapons again, but it's more about the dance moves they have when they fight. You know, those classic Asians karate styles.
Just think of they came out in the same year, if I'm not mistaken. The Dread film, almost the same premise, essentially, unintentionally, and they came out the same year. And if you've seen that, think of that just without Judge Dredd stuff.
Yeah, pretty much to make people understand the premise of the movie. It's a SWAT team that is going in a mission into a big building, a complex with tons of apartments, and everyone there, not everyone, but 80% of the people who lives there are criminals. And they're trying to take down the lord, the boss that lives in the top floor. And there is normal people too. There is civilians in the building, but it was a political move, so everything was kinda like not planned by the SWAT team. Was more like a separated mission. It's a fun movie to watch. It's just violence. So I think in terms of game, that could be amazing. It's just brutality, entertainment, blood, karate, combat. What else you want in a game, right?
A bit of bullet time, and it'll be perfect.
I think so, yeah.
So we're just talking about frenetic action, going around chopping people up with machetes.
Well, yeah, there is that, but it's so visceral. It's completely very like physical, and you feel every hit, and it's like, oh my god, like, yeah.
Let me put an example for you. Do you remember that scene in The Matrix, the movie, when Neo goes into the building with all the weapons below the coat, and, and they just start fighting? Well, it's like that, but with less fictional movements. Like there is no anti-gravity style fighting; it's more realistic. But it's that vibe, like building, enemies, weapons, pretty much.
Kill.
Yes.
And you guys mentioned Judge Dredd, which is a very similar premise and also fantastic movie. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely see it. Is there a Judge Dredd game that you guys are aware of?
Yeah, there was. I think it was on the Sega Mega Drive, and maybe the original PlayStation. But so we can't cover it, unfortunately. But the Raid Redemption, pretty much the closest thing to Dread 3D or whatever the hell it was called when it came out.
Okay. One final question, Lucas. Who's going to make it?
If I have to choose a studio to make it, I will probably go with the studio behind Sifu. I don't know if you've heard about that game.
Oh yeah.
It seems Ian knows the game. It's amazing combat. That's only karate and knife combat, but it's amazing. Or maybe the studio behind the new John Wick game that is about to came out, I think in this year or maybe next. It's untitled, so it doesn't have a name yet. But some corporation with experience, I will choose. Not like an indie game, just to be sure that it's well done. But
what's wrong with indie? What's wrong with indie?
Resources and rights, because movie needs to make games about movies. You need to buy the rights to do it. So that means resources.
Oh, that's completely valid. Actually, I'll give you that, mate.
Money, doesn't it? It means money.
That was a save. That was a save. I was in dangerous terrain right there. Sorry, indie developers. I didn't mean it.
Well, no, the reason I asked that is because when you look at the recent Game of the Years over the last 3 years or so, they've all been indie titles.
They have, yeah.
I can't disagree.
Well, you can't disagree because it's a fact. So I'm not asking for opinions. I'm saying the Game of the Year. What was Slay the Spire? Was that last year? There's been so many recent Game of the Year titles, and they're all and they're not just winning best indie; they're winning best game. So we're seeing a massive shift. But you're right. The fact that you're going to be plucking a franchise with a recognized IP, that's going to cost you just to get off the ground. So that's probably going to price out most indie studios. Let's move on. I'm going to go from where I'm looking. I'll go around the table. So Tim's next. What's your first one?
My first one is Deathwatch.
40K.
Oh my god! It is so like death, like the the Deathcore Krieg. And it is corny. It's a corny film, but
Tell
the
us about
premise is
Deathwatch.
absolutely terrifying. Yeah, well, yeah, I'm talking about Deathwatch. Essentially, it's trenches. So there's an English platoon essentially going over the gates, as it were, and finding a German trench. But not everything is as it seems, essentially. And without spoiling it, it goes all awry. And it's almost like a gateway to hell, essentially. Which kind of mirrors like a lot of things that have been said about the trenches for World War One, which makes sense. It's a nasty film, but it's worth a watch. I think it's extremely like underrated, personally. And for my idea of it being a game, I was thinking like maybe Death by Daylight type kind of premise. Like someone is chasing you down, but you don't know who on earth it is because you can't figure out who it is.
I think there is a game that maybe takes that premise and applies really well. I don't know if you heard about the Amnesia franchise.
Oh,
There's
Amnesia, yeah.
the last one, the bunker one. It's kind of like that. It's in a war situation, and you go and there is monsters, and you have first person view. It's a really scary game, really fun to play. Maybe it's like that. What you picture?
Yeah, essentially. But all of I guess the German soldiers, they kind of assumed they were dead. They weren't. They were just like, they just didn't want to be there, so they were just under mud and everything. And then they all started kind of like waking up, and they were obviously under something, but you didn't know what they were quite under. And then the trenches stop bleeding, and it's psychological horror, which I adore.
Who doesn't?
Well, yeah, exactly. But I think that'd be a really interesting like FPS if it had like the mechanics of I was going to say Battlefield, but maybe not Battlefield, but just a first-person perspective with like decent gun mechanics where things start breaking, and it'd be brutal.
Yeah, kind of like not the last one, but Resident Evil franchise. Remember 7, 8? They went for the first person view. Everything was like a jump scare moment and zombies, kind of like that.
Kinda with better gun mechanics.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. So yeah, my first one is Deathwatch, and highly recommend if you haven't seen it. As I said, I think it's quite an underrated film, but it says a lot about World War One and what people imagined and what actually happened.
So who's the antagonist in Deathwatch then? Who's the enemy in Deathwatch?
We don't know. There's an unknown force.
So when you talk about gunplay and things like that, then so I watched it a couple of weeks ago at your recommendation.
Yeah.
And it reminded me a lot of Event Horizon in some respects, but we'll come to that. We'll come to that soon, won't we? But it's almost like a supernatural force, isn't it? So I was thinking more along the lines of like a survival horror, psychological survival horror, rather than there being gunplay and things like that.
What I meant by gunplay is you're using old, like, say old, but like bolt action rifles, and they did have to still use that in the trenches, but against an enemy that they didn't know. So think of it as like you don't have much ammunition, and all of these like people covered in mud who you assumed were dead, you have to shoot, because that happened it happened a few times in it, but you don't expect it happening. You're like, oh god, you know,
just a shape rises up from the mud.
Exactly,
like,
mate. Yes, exactly that.
And there was often, I think there was some scenes in there where I think the counters were going a bit crazy, and was there not like some friendly fire incidents where they've like shot one of their comrades on accident? It was a couple of weeks ago that I watched it. So I guess there's that horror, isn't it? It's like, who is the enemy here? Is this supernatural force making the people that I'm there with my squad mates is making me think that they are. I'm saying it's making me think that they are
I'm
the
going to
bad
use
guy,
a
that they are the
Warhammer
enemy.
analogy, just quickly, but I think it's a good one. It's like the Blood Angels when they get Black Rage. They don't know who's who, but they will try and kill them no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's Deathwatch.
Hmm.
So the clue's in the title, in all honesty.
Yeah. Do you think you could call it Deathwatch with there being? I mean, does the Games Workshop have Games Workshop not bloody captured that as like a trademark? Do you reckon you could call it Deathwatch?
Oh god, that's a really valid point.
You'd have to call it like so and so's Death Watch, or like some kind of indicator that no, not that one, it's this one.
I mean, if it were to like be like pedantic, I guess that is Deathwatch Company. But I think another good alternative would just be the Trenches, because it does sum it up.
True.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
There's a very interesting game called Trench Tales. I don't know whether you've seen that, which is like World War I based game where you third person, quite difficult, where you go around the trenches killing each other. So that's quite interesting. So we've had The Raid and we've had Deathwatch. Let's move on to Ian.
All right, my first one is based off the 2015 movie The Martian. That's the one that it's based on a book written by Andy Weir. It's directed by Ridley Scott and stars Matt Damon. And I think that this would be a really good survival game. I kind of picture the guys who did the game Green Hell, giving those guys the reins. Something like kind of similar to that, like just a really hardcore survival experience where a lot can go wrong, and just it takes a lot to get things working right and to stay alive.
In the second you said that movie, my brain went to Surviving Mars, the strategy game,
Great,
because it has the same premise. Technically, you are trying to do a colony in another planet, trying to make it work. So it went to strategy, but I don't dislike your idea of making like a survival type game, like Green Hell, or maybe Raft, or maybe what else we have? Well, Minecraft, but less Kubi.
Valheim?
Valheim, yeah.
Of course, the difference between Surviving Mars and The Martian is one person. So is this going to be a maths-based game then?
No, I mean, they would just be like, press X to compute this calculation or whatever.
No, I mean, the purpose of, well, one of the main things that stood out for me when I watched The Martian was, he says, I've got this many potatoes that I need to survive for this many days, and therefore this many calories, and this is how long I have to make them last, so I can have a quarter of a potato a day, or whatever it is. So we're talking about resource scarcity, aren't we? Or are we talking about being able to go out? Because you can't go out into Mars and find more potatoes. You can only use what you've got. So is it going to be a case of you're going to have to just do some equations? I'm just wondering how this is how you would gamify this particular setting, because there's no resource gathering. You've only got what you start with. Unless you grow stuff.
Yeah.
So you would have to have it. It would be a survival game. It would. In the movie, he makes several trips in the rover, and part of that would be modifying the rover, like going out there and actually drilling the holes and stuff. There's a indie game that just came out called, I believe, How to Build an Atomic Bomb in Your Garden, and it's kind of like that, where it's just the game is just performing the task and going through it and just simulating, the creation or the destruction or whatever the hell you got to do with all that. But yeah, it would be, just resource management, figuring out how to do the trips, getting through major events in the movie that, are setbacks that he has to deal with, or throw some new ones at him, make him run out of water.
So I have in mind two options of games maybe that will work. As an example, you tell me if I'm wrong. Death Stranding, the walking simulator game by Kojima. Good game, and Subnautica maybe. That's another concept that has similarities.
Yeah.
You need to build a base underwater from scratch, but there is resource gathering in that one. I don't know what you can have in Mars because it's just red dust.
Right. Yeah, it's the
Might be something
difficulty
going
of
up the nose.
yeah. It would be a challenge. It would not be like a major 100-hour game. It would probably be like a quick little 10, 20-hour survival game, I would imagine.
See, and normally I'm really, really
Uh-oh.
positive. And no, I thought that the first two picks, I think I could see. Do you know, I could actually see that working. The raid, you have this premise where you're going in and you've got to fight your way up through the floors in order to get to the final boss, and Deathwatch, where you've got this survival horror, you've got the oppressive trench situation, and then Ian's going to grow potatoes.
Yeah.
What a way of putting it, my
For
friend.
10 hours.
Well, to be fair, my original movies that I wanted to go off of was Steel Magnolias and Fried Green Tomatoes, but you guys shot me down on those.
Yeah, because it was a piss take.
Yeah, because you never watched them.
Of course, we're going to call you out on it.
You never.
Well, you should.
Yes.
No, I just no. It's just I just think it's. I guess the issue with choosing, because The Martian is a huge, like Andy Weir, the author, so it was a huge novel and it was a huge movie event. So I think that you're going to be looking at something which is going to be blockbuster game wise, AAA studio blockbuster game wise. So I just don't see how that would become like a 10-hour side quest style management game. So I mean, people might play it, but
Have you ever heard of like a prison escape simulator?
Well, Prison Architect is you're basically trying to do the complete opposite, but it generally happens.
Right. Well, there's the game, I think it's just called Prison Escape Simulator. And then it's basically the same thing where it's like a little 10, 20-hour game. And, your objective is to escape jail. And, you have to solve, puzzles or get resources and do this and that. And yeah.
There is one, actually. But I can't remember the name. Me and my friend played it ages ago. And it's a co-op game where you have to escape jail, essentially. Let me just...
No Way Out.
Yeah, No Way Out sounds familiar. It might be that.
It might be that.
But, yeah, that's actually the entire premise.
Mm-hmm. But just picture that, but instead of escaping jail, you're, on a hostile planet, and you have to, make it to the escape rocket so you can blast off and make it home safe.
Yeah, but there was no escape rocket in The Martian.
There was.
Oh, we never...
it was.
Maybe they sent him out to space.
That's how we got away.
Under a tarp.
No, it's a map. Okay, next pick.
Al, what about yours, man?
Okay, right. Well, I'm a huge strategy gaming fan. Have you heard of the author Iain M. Banks?
Yes.
No.
Okay, so he's dead now, but he is my all-time favorite author. He writes space opera, science fiction novels, which are just incredible. I remember reading the first one when I was a much younger man, and I was just blown away and just fell in love with this entire universe. So the culture is a post-scarcity civilization in space. It's it's described as an anarchist utopia. So there's no laws really, because if you're naughty, you're kind of like society deals with you. People live for 400 years, and the culture is just this wonderful place where you think that if you live there, you live for 400 years. If you want to be, you can change sex, you can do whatever you want to be. If you want to be an artist, you can be an artist. If you want to be a writer, you can be a writer. Every single want and need and desire that you may have is there for you at your fingertips. So when I mentioned about the strategy games, that was the first thing that kind of came to me about the culture, because one of the first books, it talks about this intergalactic war between the culture and the Idarans, which is you've got these ships which are hundreds of kilometers long, fighting over vast distances, firing weapons from light years away. So the scale is incredible. But all of his books, they all take place on the periphery of the culture, because the culture is such a idealistic, perfect place. So they all take place in the culture likes to think of itself as the good guys, so they meddle with other civilizations. If they see a civilization which is maybe treating its populace harshly, they will go in and they will kind of direct them how to be nicer to their own people. Or if there's a civilization which is going around conquering others and enslaving others, they'll go in. They won't just go to war with them. They'll go in and they'll undermine them and change how they operate. So you have contact, which is the part of the culture which deals with contacting other civilizations, and then you have special circumstances, which is essentially their dirty tricks. Think like the CIA or MI5 or the KGB. These are the ones who are going out and they're doing all of the all of the really dirty stuff, assassinations, anything which is going to involve killing people, offing people, or taking somebody's place or whatever. And I thought this would be a really, really smart, intelligent RPG where you play as a special circumstance operative, and your handler is the main things in the culture are the minds, which are machines. Essentially, the machines run society and the humans just have loads of fun. So you have a special circumstances agent, and your controller is the mind, and he's sending you on tasks to do certain things with certain civilizations to get them to change the way that they're thinking. But you never know what the motives are. You never know exactly what it is that they're trying to get you to say or trying to get you to do.
This reminds you of like very an XCOM-y kind of game type thing. Like when you're instead of like the battles, it's always the background stuff that is the most interesting. You're trying to figure out what's going on here. How do I do this? How do I do that? And it's the strategy and generally espionage. That's the most interesting part.
You said that you wanted to be like an RPG style. I have one in mind that could work as an example. Kenshi. I don't know if you guys played that
I
one.
haven't played that for ages.
But it's a good example, right?
Yeah.
It's more. It's like living in Tatooine in Star Wars, but
No, it really is. Yeah.
it really is. But imagine that in a more large scale, like I'll describe all the politics behind and the complicity and everything is intrigue in between things. Imagine doing that as an RPG, one character that you can start from scratch, being a homeless guy, and then running society like in a space style. Well, that would be interesting.
Also, that reminds you of like one that is like very open worlded. And I've said this before in our podcast, but the original Star Wars Galaxies, like you were just placed on a planet. Good luck, have fun, do what you want. Like that's literally it. And you pave your own way. They ruined it in the end, but it was like literally a complete sandbox. And yeah, that'd be almost perfection like that. With that kind of style with Kenshi.
Yeah, the games I was thinking of was games like Dishonored and
yeah.
Deus Ex.
Uh,
So Human Evolution. That was the Deus Ex game, wasn't it? So because the culture citizens they have drug glands, so they're born with glands. Where so if they want to get high, they use the drugs. If they want to slow down time, they can use the drugs. If they need like a boost in their physical abilities, they use their drug glands in order to give them that. So I just thought like an RPG style game where you're given a task and the task is to go. So it could be, for example, you've got this particular civilization on the culture borders, and in there's a monarchy, and they are enslaving a sect of their population. The culture doesn't like it when people are treated badly. So you are the good guys. So you're going in order to, on the surface, you're going in order to replace the monarch, in order to free this particular sect from slavery. But you never ever understand, and the books are incredible. The books are just beyond words incredible. Banks was a genius. He was an absolute genius, and it was such a travesty. It was so sad when he passed away. But you never knew what their real motives were, why they were doing something. They would often do one thing because the knock-on effect would impact something. Think of the Eldar Tim and Eldar Farseers who may divert an orc Hulk to a particular planet, not because they want to destroy that planet, because it means that will stop that planet from being able to reinforce another planet, and therefore, does that make sense? Like they're
it's a trickle down effect.
Yeah, their plans and schemes are so far-reaching, and I think to be this one individual player in the midst of these schemes, which are mind-boggling complex, that you would never quite understand, and trying to work out what it is that they're actually trying to do, and giving you real morally ambiguous choices on what you should actually do in certain situations. I think it's got such huge appeal.
And you mentioned the abilities will come from those glands they have and drugs. That reminds me a little bit. It's not the same thing, but do you remember the ability in Crisis with the suit that you can be invisible, you can be faster, stronger? Maybe something like that. You want some gunplay in the middle of the game, or you want more like close combat, or what's the idea behind your game?
So just as soon as you said that, mate, it just reminded me of Daft Punk. But it reminds you of like what Peter Molyneux used to say when he was essentially talking out of his arse. Like he'd come up with these grand ideas and never came to pass. Apart from Black and White, that game was great. So was popular.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's probably not something which is going to appeal to a lot of people, because it would be, you'd really have to put your thinking cap on to try and understand. We're not talking about an action game. We're talking about a slow burning RPG, very dialogue heavy, very much trying to understand the complex. Where you're going in, and you've got, rather than just 2 dialogue choices, you've got 100. So because it's so open-ended. But one of the really cool things about the culture is that you can back yourself up. So if you are killed, they take your consciousness, which has been backed up, and so this would be kind of like this would be like your save and progression system. You back up your consciousness, so if you're killed, they grow you a new body and they put your consciousness back into that body, and you go off and you can live your life again.
So that's actually a great premise. As I said earlier, I've heard of him. I actually haven't read much of him. Apparently, you're a great fan, and fair play. It's always good reading books and stuff like that. But when you said about like that, and you said there was going to be similarities between like the Eldar and the Orcs, yeah, fair enough. But the description of like gameplay, if it was a different setting, it's almost like kind of a Kingdom Come Deliverance. Very open-ended. You can do what you want.
Mhm.
There's lots of dialogue, and it's not medieval, obviously. But yeah, change settings. Yeah, that would sound really good.
But it could be medieval, because this is the thing. They go into civilizations which are yet to be contacted or are yet to reach. Which is where the special circumstance, the culture, have a bit of a grey area, because you shouldn't really meddle. Like with Star Trek, with like
I was going to say Star Trek,
the Prime Directive. So you shouldn't really meddle, but they still do, because they're so morally ambiguous special circumstances that they will go into civilizations and they will interfere. And often their interference is, on the surface, it's for a positive reason or for a good reason, but underneath the schemes of the minds, there's a reason why they're doing it. It could be to get this particular civilization to rise up and therefore counter another nastier civilization. There's so many different connotations to it.
What I like that you mentioned is that progress saving, because you save your consciousness, you said, and they grow a new body to you. So that could be a potential ability thing based on your choices before you died. Like if you are doing certain path, you can access to different upgrades in the game. Like you made this decision, now you have access to this upgrade to your character, and that's the way you unlock new skills and things.
Mm-hmm. I mean, some culture citizens do not get. They refuse to be backed up because they say that if they live one life, it means that life means more. So maybe in like the character creation scheme, you choose your, your philosophies. You choose what it is that you want to be when you're creating your character to begin with. But I think there's so much nuance. There's so many variables in that. I think it's be a really, really, really fascinating game. Should we move on? Back to Lucas.
Back again, and my next choice is not a movie, it's a TV show. I think it was launched on Netflix, so it's Netflix based in 2019-18, around that time. It's called Mindhunters. It's a show about the FBI in the 70s, where they were trying to like find the coincidence between killers and psychopaths to make a profile of them, because it was pretty much impossible at the time to find a connection between their actions and find a MO. But the show is about how the FBI did it, and in that show they have interviews with serial killers, really known ones, and the actors looks really close to the real ones. It's amazing. It's well done. And I had in mind a game like Rockstar game, LA Noir. I don't know if you play that one. So it will be a detective game, police style, with cases and interviews and investigation in the middle. So, and I think we're lacking games like that to this day. Some intriguing police drama kind of style.
Before you even said it, giving that description, because I can't say I've seen the show. I've seen like YouTube shorts and stuff like that. But I was like, LA Noire would be perfect. So you nailed it, mate.
Yeah, I like that game a lot. I play the VR version. It's awful, but at the same time, it's magnificent. But yeah, I thought we need games like that. So that show, it was pretty good to watch. Has only 2 seasons, sadly. It's been years since the last one, but it's worth watching. If anyone listening didn't watch that one, I recommend it. It's a police thriller, not much to add than that. It's realistic, because everything that they talk about and the interviews are actually real, that happened. So they are pretty accurate.
I was going to say, I need a new show, so I'm going to start watching that.
I suppose it's like I guess it's more of an interrogation game, isn't it, Mindhunter? Because is it not mainly based around their interviews, sitting down with these people and profiling them? Is that kind of the premise?
Yes, that's the mainly thing. At the same time, they are working for the FBI to make the connection, and it's not only about the interviews, because they're also talking about cases that are open in the moment, like trying to find similarities and catching those killers that are still out there by interviewing the killers that are already inside the jail. So it's like a both ways thing. Is interviews and then real cases in the moment. So it can work like okay, I don't know how to proceed in this case. I need to go and talk to one of the prisoners type shit.
A bit of a catch-22. It's like, hey, you're telling me this, but is it real?
Yeah, kinda. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds fascinating, mate. Honestly.
Who's making it, Lucas? Who's making it?
In this case, I don't have a studio in mind. Maybe the guys who did in Rockstar back in the day, because they had that really beautiful system of face movement to identify liars. Or maybe the guys who make the games of Sherlock Holmes. I don't know if you play those. They're pretty solid games in PC. There is like 6 games of Sherlock Holmes. They're enjoyable. They're really, really intuitive and fun to find clues and solve the mystery.
Would it work as like like the Telltale series? Would it work as that sort of game?
I don't know that game, so I can't say yes.
I'm not sure if we're on the same wavelength there. I was thinking like this could be a Telltale game as well, like just chapters essentially.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I did a quick search. Yeah, it could be like that. Yeah.
very narrative driven, where decisions and choices matter, and then kind of rectify or like have consequences.
Yeah, yeah. It will be slow gameplay, but gratifying and not boring. Like you're going to engage with the gameplay because you need to start thinking like, okay, what's next?
I would
Is
play
this
that.
correct or not? It will be a good game.
Interesting. Yeah, and I love the fact that it's so completely different to your first one
Ah,
as well.
well, I cannot choose John Wick,
I
so
think it's no, it's really good. It's completely different. Let's move on. Tim.
Speaking of not really changing genre, my next one is Event Horizon, which I think is probably one of the best, excluding Aliens, of course. That's well up there. Psychological sci-fi horror films, because it is absolutely fantastic. And the premise is basically Event Horizon is a ship that just got projected into, I guess, light speed, warp, however you want to put it, and then was lost for years. And then came back all of a sudden, and I'm trying to think of a polite way of putting it. The entire crew were not great, honestly.
You don't have to be polite. You don't have to be polite here.
Oh, okay,
Come
fine,
on, man.
fine. The whole group was absolutely beyond decimated and fucked up.
Yeah.
And they sent like a recon team to basically search it and like what happened, like what was going on. And in the short scheme of things, it kept a presence. It kept a presence from wherever it went to where it is now. And it was a disturbing presence that kind of like took over everyone, and essentially, in the end, spoilers, it was like they were going to hell, essentially. And the reason I picked this film, and Al kind of like unsubtly pointed out earlier, I feel like this is a precursor to Warhammer 40k, like when they first discovered the warp, because meeting all the chaos gods type thing essentially just screwed everyone up, and they came back broken, and everyone who touched it was broken.
Yeah, I mean, Event Horizon is one of my favorite movies of all time. I think it's just brilliant. What did it come out? Was it 1997 it came out? I can't remember exactly.
97.
But it's just an incredible movie.
Around that time, mate.
Incredible movie. And when you talk about the warp and light speed, that wasn't entirely true. And I think Dr. Weir, Sam Neill, who died recently, Sam Neill's character. Yeah, absolutely. He talks about the gravity drive, which is in Event Horizon is a prototype. And the gravity drive works, it folds space, so you can't travel these great distances. So it essentially folds space and brings these 2 points together. And the premise behind it is that when it's gone through the gateway, it's gone to a different dimension, or as some people might call it, hell. And that's what's happened to the crew. And then Lawrence Fishburne's crew go on their salvage operation or their search and rescue operation.
I used warp or light speed just as like layman terms, essentially. Like what they went through, they probably went through either one or two of the others. And it was completely unknown. So thus using that as that,
Okay.
Like gravity drive does not seem like a wise idea.
Yeah, I've got some bad news for you, Tim. Unfortunately, this game already exists.
Oh.
It's called Dead Space.
Okay. Well, no. Okay, fine. It doesn't use the name.
All right.
It doesn't use the name.
I would like you to now, on the spot, differentiate your version of Event Horizon from Dead Space.
Okay, easily. I would make it like Alien Isolation. Your point of view, first person, and you're essentially trying to survive against all of your crew who are going manically insane.
Yeah,
that would be my perspective, and that is quite different to Dead Space.
Definitely. I mean, I played Alien Isolation for about 15 minutes and turned it off because I was too scared.
I shut myself, mate.
I was too scared. But I suppose, whereas Alien Isolation is set on this huge space station, Event Horizon takes place in a really claustrophobic setting, and I think that's where part of the horror comes in, isn't it?
You could imagine it though, couldn't you? You could see
Definitely.
that happening in the game with Event Horizon from that perspective. I could see that. I don't think I'd want to play it, but I could see it.
So what you're talking about, you're not talking about a Dead Space style game where it's almost survival horror in space. You're talking about a slow burn psychological horror where you are going to investigate what happened to the Event Horizon, or maybe even you could be the follow up to the Lois and Clark to discover what happened to the ship that was sent to do the Event Horizon search and rescue.
Essentially, just like Event Horizon, except in first person and oh god, yeah, with those kind of mechanics.
Did Event Horizon? It's been a while since I've seen it. At the end of the movie, does it go back into or did they blow it up and separate it and like they use the front part of the ship as like a life raft? And did somebody survive?
God, it's been a while since I've watched it as well, actually. But I know it didn't go back into like whatever the hell it came from. It was heading towards Earth Terror, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It was a very much like oh god kind of situation.
Yeah, because Dr. Weir tried to get it to. He tried to take them back, but I think they blew up the corridor which separates the drive from the living quarters.
The last thing I remember from that film, or at least like vividly, is when he came back from hell with everything all sliced up, and Lawrence Fishburne did not have a happy ending, put it bluntly.
Yeah, there's one just incredible picture on from the review. Sam Neill's character, Dr. Weir, was there. He's cut his own eyeballs out, and he's got his eyeballs in the palms of his hands, and it's just like, what the fuck? It's like, I think I'm going to watch it after we've finished this recording. So let's move on because I'm joking. But
just quickly,
I want to watch it.
We can. I think I'll stream it tomorrow. We can have an event of it. But yeah, no. I remember. I think Sam Neill's character basically said, "I no longer have need for my eyes because I have seen everything I need to see, and I've seen everything." And that film is screwed up metaphorically. Well, not metaphorically, psychologically.
Where we're going, we won't need eyes.
That's the one. Thank you. Yep. Anyway, yeah, that's what I'd like as a Event Horizon kind of game.
Who's making it, Tim?
Oh God. Paradox.
Well, the same people who made Alien Isolation, aren't they? Or was that Creative Assembly?
Yeah.
Creative Assembly. They made Alien Isolation.
Creative Assembly.
Creative Assembly.
I thought they just did like Total War.
No. Creative Assembly made Alien Isolation.
Okay, then either Take-Two or Rockstar.
Not Creative Assembly.
Well, actually, no, that actually make complete sense. I take that back completely. We'll ignore that part.
Okay. Event Horizon. Cracking. Good pick.
Yeah.
Ian.
So my second pick is based on the 2014 movie Edge of Tomorrow. It's the one starring Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt. And in that movie, it's basically like a video game already, where every time he dies, the day repeats and he gets to try again. And each time he gets a little bit better and he learns some new things and he, eventually become like a badass. And I could see this being a really fun action shooter. I could see the guys who did Doom, the recent Doom games. I think they would knock it out of the park. I think it could be really fun, really frantic, lots of action. Yes.
Sadly, I'm sad to inform you there is a game exactly like that. It's called Deathloop. Funny enough,
similar.
It's made by the guys who did Dishonored. So
no, Deathloop. Yeah, I hear it's the one which is closest to it. I hear what you're saying, Lucas. I do, but Deathloop is more of like a
and then about like assassinating X, Y, and Z
action. Yeah. There's a game called Returnal. So this is what. So Edge of Tomorrow already existed. In fact, it's quite interesting because Edge of Tomorrow is a video game, isn't it? even though it's a movie, it's because the entire premise of when you die you start again. It's like fucking checkpoints. It is a movie based on every single video game that we've ever played. But the game called Returnal, a soldier crash lands, dies, and every time he dies, he snaps back to the same crash, but keeps what they learned and keeps pushing through and learning skills, and dies and resets and dies and resets, and live, die, repeat, which was one of the working titles for Edge of Tomorrow. So the game really exists, but just not with that name.
I just thought of like the perfect developer for Respawn Interactive.
Yeah. Yeah. There's actually an indie game called, I think it's called, is it called Live, Die, Repeat? Which is a similar sort of thing. It's like but that's like a turn-based game, turn-based strategy game, essentially. And every time you die, the time loop resets. But no, I think it would be a cracking premise for a game, Ian, because it's. Sorry if you can hear my cat. He's just being cute. It'd be a cracking premise for a game, because it already is a video game. The movie is a video game. I think it'd be
I wouldn't be surprised if that Returnal game started off as like a pitch of that movie turned into a game, and then they said no, and they said, okay, well, we'll just do it ourselves. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happened at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's science fiction, it's combat heavy, it's everything that Age of Tomorrow is. So yeah, it makes perfect sense. Yeah,
completely.
Good call. Are you going to get Tom Cruise to star in the game, though?
Can we afford Tom Cruise?
It's not us.
Well, I mean, they could
Can they afford Tom Cruise?
Has Tom Cruise ever appeared in a video game?
Well, I think there was a Mission Impossible game that he was in. Yeah, I think it was on PlayStation 2.
Oh, I think you're right. Mission Impossible. It was based off Mission Impossible 1. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. He was in a video game.
You're right.
Possibly.
Al.
Possibly. Okay.
What about your second recommendation?
Yo, to round out the episode, and I was really surprised that there wasn't a game based on this. And I know that Tim might when we say this game already exists. 28 Days Later.
I say the premise of the game exists, but I'm not going to say the game exists.
It's not Left 4 Dead. It's not Left 4 Dead.
And it's not DayZ either.
No. So 28 Days Later is essentially the rage virus. It's Danny Boyle, and the 28 days, 28 weeks, and now even 28 years. And I think they're making another one as well. Cillian Murphy's character wakes up in London. He's called Jim. Let me just put the cat down. He's called Jim. He wakes up in London, and it's dead London. Now, I think the really interesting thing about 28 Days Later is that the infected, the rage virus, which infects people and turns them into fast zombies, the infected really aren't the enemy. The enemy is the survivors. It's the military. It's when they go to the what's the name? What's the name of the actor that plays him? Christopher. What's his name?
Oh, it's
not Eccleston. Is it Eccleston? Is it Eccleston?
Oh, let's
Christopher
Eccleston.
So he plays Major West, and it's when they go to the compound, and that's really where the enemy is. It's other survivors, and in 28 weeks later, it's when the green zone collapses, and so really the enemy is other groups, other survivors, and that's the same in 28 years. You've got the infected, but they kind of sit as like not background, but they kind of sit as part of the environment rather than enemies, I guess, in some respects. And it's the other humans which are the real problems. So I'm not thinking Left 4 Dead where you've got guns and you're running around shooting all of these and killing them all. It's more of like a slow burning, not quite a walking simulator, but you've got nothing. You don't have weapons. You're in London. This is the UK. We don't have guns. And you've just got to escape. You've got to be silent. You've got to escape. You've got to avoid. Noise will get you killed.
Yeah, for a sec before you said that about the weapons, I thought about Dying Light because that's kind of the idea that zombies are dangerous, yes, but the mainly problem are the military and the guys with weapons. Before night came,
Yeah.
because in that game when night hits, well, that's pretty much horror. But yeah,
Yeah, it's
Even in
this,
the first film. Oh, sorry, go on,
I
mate.
was going to say, yeah, it's the same with like the Walking Dead franchise. So in the Walking Dead, the zombies are not the enemy. It's the governor, it's Terminus, it's the Commonwealth. It's the survivors which are the issue, not the actual infected themselves.
I was about to bring up Walking Dead. It sounds very similar. It's the progression of humanity getting to its almost lowest points and then turning against each other rather than having a common enemy. And people turn on each other. It's what happens. So, with that being said, what kind of game style do you think that'd be?
A slow burn survival horror,
Okay.
where you can get involved in combat, but you want to avoid combat. You're in London, a city of 6 million people, so you potentially got 6 million infected. And if you pick up a gun and you shoot something, you draw all the infected to the area. If you swing a bat and you hit something, you make a loud bang, you hit something. Noise is the killer. So environmental storytelling where you will see the infected, you need to avoid them rather than engage with them. And it's going to be Jim's journey from waking up in the hospital in order to ultimately just to get out of the city.
Made by?
I don't know, really. Made by me. I'll make it. I don't know.
I was going to say Warner Brothers after like the Lord of the Rings stuff. I know we can't bring it up because it's not part of it, but with that Nemesis system, that'd probably be perfect.
Which Nemesis system?
So essentially, when you're going around fighting orcs and stuff like that, they remember you. So instead of orcs, it'd be like other factions of humans.
See, okay. Yeah.
But unfortunately, they've copyrighted that, so no one else can use it. So it'd have to be Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to do a Wonder Woman game with that Nemesis system for a second, but then that got canceled.
I wonder why.
in my opinion, I think a game with that system will be a heavy, intense fight game because that system is basically to make the enemies adapt to your playstyle. So Al is intending to do a sneaky game, kind of like you need to down low
Yeah.
and slow try to get off the enemies, not fight them. So I don't know if that could apply.
I agree, yet disagree to an extent. I mainly agree. I could see it really working with like say Splinter Cell kind of like stealthy kind of game. But if you get caught, that's when the Nemesis like system kicks in, and people would be like actively going for you rather than like the infected type thing, because you made a mistake, and people remember. Like I could see that working quite well.
I just think it'd just be a really cool concept for a game because we've seen survival horror, we've seen, Left 4 Dead is one of my favorite games of all time. I think it's such a fun co-op game. But I think that what the beauty of certainly of 28 Days Later is Jim's isolation. It's this is a single player game. It's not a co-op game where you're choosing shotguns and Uzis and mowing down hordes of infected. This is a game where if you have very, very little in the way of anything to defend yourself with. In 28 Days, they had Molotov cocktails. They used fire as a weapon. They used Shaun of the Dead cricket bats. It's set in the UK.
Not finals. At least.
We don't have AR-15s or AK-47s or anything like that. It's your survival is based upon your ability to remain unheard, unseen, and unheard. Because if you are seen or if you are heard, then that's when the horde comes, and then suddenly you're running for your life.
And if I don't remember wrong, and I think this is the most scary part about the infected in that movie, besides the violent rage and the speed and the unstoppable force they have, the speed of the of the blood, like if you enter in contact with the virus, is fast. It's like 5 seconds, I think. So you don't want blood and any residue of enemies close to you, right?
Yeah.
It's ridiculously fast. And it all started from like, what was it, apes or something at the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
And then as soon as like you just get a bite, yeah, you're completely right, Lucas. 5-10 seconds best, and then the eyes go completely red and they turn into lunatics and wants to kill you.
I think it was is he called Brendan Murphy, the guy who plays the taxi driver who takes them out of London? I can't remember. I think that might be the actor's name. And you see, he looks up and a crow drops a drop of blood into his eye. And he's like, get away from me, and he turns instantly. And I think that what Lucas brings up, there'll be a really, really cool mechanic if you do engage in combat, because all you've got is blunt melee weapons. You've got baseball bats, you've got golf clubs or whatever, because we don't have guns. You don't want to get too close with a knife, because if they scratch you, you're dead. You hit them with a baseball bat, break their skull, blood flies, blood gets in onto your face, it's game over. So really, combat is such a last resort that you just want to avoid it on all costs, because the risk is if you get involved in combat, you're going to die anyway. So it really adds that element of terror and fright. You can't afford to fight. You must sneak. You escape. escape.
Until you find sunglasses. That'll probably help.
Yeah, absolutely. And,
I'm being sarcastic,
No,
of course. But
no.
like, that actually probably would help.
Well, it probably would. It probably would. But even better would be a scuba mask. So,
yeah.
And this is it. You get a scuba mask or you get a hood, and you get different clothing options. It's one of the things in, I forget which, it might actually been in I can't remember what movie it was in, but they talk about clothing, and it's like, make sure you wear. It might have been in Zombieland actually, which I think is a cracking comedy, where it's like tight clothing, loose clothing, long hair is going to get you killed.
I thought it was
what movie?
World War Z, right? With the Tom Cruise now. Brad Pitt,
yes,
I think.
Brad Pitt.
Oh yeah.
So like, and being able to and as part of this game, being able to
magazines,
duct tape magazines to your arms. It's like homemade armor, but keep it really realistic. Keep the love it if you could map London. So when you're playing it, you're walking through the actual London in the state that it was in when Jim wakes up from his coma, but being able to really nail down the realism where you have a magazine as armor to stop you being bitten, to stop them from breaking. So you could hold off a zombie by putting your arm up, and it bites your arm, but it bites the magazine, and that's how you survive, by just having these little really impromptu additions to your arsenal.
Yeah. Oh, come on, the Arsenal. But with that being said as well, like, there could be like hydration things and stuff like that. So if you're like wearing heavy gloves and long shirts and stuff like that, depending on the time of year, like, it would probably wear you down type thing, just because it would anyway, even if it is protection.
It slows you down.
Well, it wears you down. It wears you down mentally and physically.
But what I'm saying is, it slows you down. So there's your trade-off. Do you go for being protected because you find police body armor, and I think that the taxi driver, Brendan Murphy, could be the name wrong. He has like a police riot shield when they ascend the tower block, and he's in full riot gear. You're much slower. So do you trade protection for speed, and therefore if you are caught, they're going to catch you, or do you stay light, and therefore if you are caught, you don't have the protection? You've got to make these decisions.
Very interesting premise. I'd probably play this game.
I have a game in mind that, right out the hat, Project Zomboid. That game has so many mechanics. For example, if you're using really heavy armor all the time during day, you maybe start sweating, and if you keep sweating, you can get basically the flu, because you get sick for all the sweating and you feel bad, and you start coughing. If you start coughing, you can't sneak because the zombies hear you coughing anyway. And it has all other mechanics. For example, scratches. You can be saved if you're using heavy ammo from a bite, but if that close breaks, so you need to change it fast, because if you don't and you forget, you can get bite again in the same place and you get infected. And you can turn any zombie into a runner, so it's going to be fast, really good vision, really good hearing, and it can turn kinda in the game you have in mind really brutal, and you need to stay away from combat, because in that game there is no one, there is no two, there is like hundreds of zombies coming at you when they hear you.
Yeah, good example, mate.
Okay, I think we'll leave it there because I'm very, very conscious of how long this has gone on. But there is 4 of us, and we've just covered 8 games, which or 7 really good games, which would make 7 really good franchises that would make good games, and also The Martian. So,
And guard, sir.
so
cheeky.
I know. Shots fired. So let's leave it there. Lucas, Tim, Ian, thanks again. This has been the Grumpy Old Gamer podcast. We'll be back in 2 weeks with I Don't Know. Shall we tell you what we're doing next? We are doing...
It's a big one, I think.
We don't.
Ooh, Star Wars games. I'm really looking forward to that one. Yeah, man, we're really looking forward to that one. And that's with, I think, Star Wars Zero Company is due out around the time that the episode comes out, because we're very, very clever and we like to talk about things which are topical and relevant. So that's the end of the show. Gentlemen, thank you. For our audience, if this is your first time listening, do us a favor, subscribe, like, share, comment, send it to your gran, whatever you need to do. And if you go to gog.fm, you'll find all the ways to get in touch with us. That's gog.fm, because we're really cool. Come and chat to us on our Discord, come and chat to us on our socials, leave a comment on the YouTube, and thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Adios.